What's the worst legal thing you can do? Permanently destroying huge swaths of land. There's a development corporation in my hometown that has bought up virtually all of the remaining woods, meadows and wetlands in the area, paved them, and built retail spaces that go vacant just a few months later. Businesses aren't even moving into these office parks, but the group just keeps spreading out and developing. It seems like every month, I drive past another leveled tract of land. You can leak the names, addresses, email addresses, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, and payment card details of nearly half of all Americans and more than half of all American adults, and then settle for about $5 per person. Don't forget 3 of their top-level executives sold a significant share of their stock holdings just before the breach was announced to the public. I think it's pretty shy to claim bodily harm from a very minor car accident just to get $10K. And make the other person pay more for their car insurance. I'm looking at you. Lady, I hit going 3 miles per hour. Probably not the worst thing, but it's pretty bad. Oh man, this happened to me. We were at a green light and I was in my first ever car accident. I hit her going just a few mph. She started going and just stopped again on the green light. I remember getting out of the car and I was shaking and so scared. I looked at her car first and I couldn't even tell where I had hit her. The front license on my car bended back works is all. I acknowledge it's my fault, as I could have been more cautious. But ended up claiming medical and $8,000 worth of car damage. Then the next time I had an insurance claim, someone parked a wood chipper in front of my car while cutting down a tree. I got denied because they said I was lying, even though there was wood embedded in my car. Shady people are S-heads. Fatally hit someone with your car as long as you have diplomatic immunity. Which is totally messed up. Take custody of a pet in a divorce and put the pet down out of spite. Marrying someone you don't love. Imagine finding the love of your life, getting married and maybe even having kids, and then they tell you they never loved you, and you built your whole life around them for nothing. This happened with a Russian spy in the Cold War days. Married an American woman as cover. When he got caught, she found out her marriage was a complete lie. You should look up Shi Pei Pu. He was a Chinese spy, male, who married a French diplomat, also a male, posing as a woman. They lived together and even had a son. Ask people for credit card details in the street for donations to charity. A parent keeping their kid from the other parent when there's no good reason to and leveraging the courts to do it. Yeps. My stepson is now 18 and living with us for the last 3 months. His mother screwed him up so badly. She would scream at anyone who would even partly listen that my husband was abusive while offering zero proof. We are trying to slowly build a future for him. Luckily, it's bitten her hard. He wants nothing to do with her at all. Meanwhile, we are pushing him hard to get his own place, GED, and enrolling in college classes. It will take a long time, but at least it's getting better and he can see what a screw up his mom really is. Schedule people to work 39.5 hours a week. My girlfriend is constantly scheduled 15 minutes shy of the amount of time at which they'd be required by law to give her a break. It's gross. You can spray tan a baby. Totally legal. Any baby? Murdering or RPing someone, but it's legal because you have diplomatic immunity. What's this bone saw in your luggage? Oh, it's okay. I'm a diplomat. Giving out someone's number or email for spam. Hike the prices up on insulin. Out of a member's affordable range. Alternatively, just decide to take it off of your formulary list with no clear reason. The people in charge of these decisions should be charged with murder. Hundreds of diabetics have died as a direct result of no longer being able to afford insulin. Recruit people to join Scientology. Or an MLM. Those poor people just don't get it. Even as they lose money. Actually, I'm in multi-level marketing. I make a lot of money. I can show you how you can too. If you join my 69-step program. Is it illegal to leave your shopping cart in the parking lot instead of returning it to the corral? If not, that. Bake cookies. But with chewing gum in them. My teeth feel weird just reading this. Chewy cookie lovers will be tested with the ultimate chewy cookie. F your best friend's wife. That's when you turn around and F his wife. But at that point it's just swinging. Nah, F your best friend instead. That'll teach him. Right on D cheese. Sue your poorer ex-spouse for child custody so repeatedly that you drain their finances and can't fight it anymore. This could describe patent stealing, too. Small guy invents something. Big guy steals invention. Sues inventor into being broke so small guy can't fight Goliath anymore. There's a documentary called The Patent Scam. It's so awful how much of a racket the patent industry is now. Taking out a vague patent for something, then suing someone you claim is violating your patent for $3,000, and if they try to fight back it will cost $10,000. Then hit the victim with a non-disclosure agreement so they can't tell anyone how they were financially raw. Just killing American entrepreneurs. Have a child. Never bring him out in public. Only take photos of him beside a mocked-up meteor crash. Let him find the pics when he's 13. That's what the Kents did to Superman. It's just a coincidence he turned out to have superpowers. Standing idly and filming people who desperately need help, instead of helping. Like those kids that filmed and laughed as a disabled guy drowned and died. In many cases it actually is illegal to withhold aid from someone or to not notify emergency services if you are physically able. Steal people's money through fine print conditions. You can actually sue someone for unethical contracts. Become a politician and raise my pay while creating taxes I'm coincidentally exempt from. There was a guy a while back who took a photo up a 13-year-old girl's skirt. The judge had some choice words to say, but the guy got let go because technically, it wasn't illegal. There was a similar case in my city when I was that age and it was terrifying. But my state made it illegal to do that as a result. Nestle claiming rights to water and then selling it back to the public at exorbitant prices, all while polluting the earth with the production of single-use plastic bottles. Didn't Nestle also give free samples of formula to impoverished people in Africa? And then when the women ran out of formula, charged exorbitant prices that they obviously couldn't afford. The women's BR-assed milk dried up, stopped producing because they were feeding formula instead of BR-assed feeding. The few women who could afford the formula didn't have clean water to make it with. A lot of babies starved to death or were very ill due to the unclean water. Anyway, Nestle is evil. Ruin the world economy by handing out subprime loans. Not only legal, but you get a nice taxpayer-funded bailout when the loans you make go bad. Fire all your employees and move your business to East Asia so you can essentially use slave labor. Have kids you don't want. I may be misremembering the exact details of the story, but I recall a story about a guy in Omaha who, after they passed safe haven laws, dropped all 5 of his kids off at the firehouse near his home. This included a 17-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son. I could never decide how I felt about that. The act of cannibalism itself is legal in most nations. It's just getting the meat that is usually illegal. And desecrating the corpse. As a fertility doctor, in most states, it's totally legal for you to inseminate a patient with your own sperm instead of their selected donor. That is so wrong on so many levels. An English man can shoot a Scottish man in York with a bow and arrow on any day of the week except Sunday. Listening to music and or talking on the phone with volume up in public with no headphones. In a quiet waiting room. In the bathroom. Mobile app scams. Put your dog down because it's inconvenient. I know a woman who had a perfectly fine Yorkie put down because she was moving and didn't want to deal with a dog during the transition. Then she immediately buys a Maltipoo puppy upon arrival at the new destination. Now she's moved again and has a new dog, but no longer posts about the Maltipoo. I suspect the worst. And it's a shame because we would have gladly taken him if she didn't want to move with him. What the F? Just casual psychopathy. This happened to me in Uruguay. But I've been told a similar tactic works in the US. Suppose I'm evil, and I have money, not a huge amount of money, but a healthy 6-digit number in the bank, and I see someone else. This someone else maybe doesn't make a lot. Maybe he has a lot of kids. Maybe it's a recession and he's having a hard time finding enough work. Who knows? But he's barely making it. Paycheck to paycheck. But he has something of value. He owns his family farm outright. And it's worth a small 6-digit number. But he relies on this farm mainly to provide a rent-free place to live. If he had to pay rent for a place to live, he wouldn't be anywhere close to making it. So I'm wealthy and evil. I contact my lawyer and say, "Hey, I know this guy. He doesn't have any money. But he has this property. Let's sue him." He'll be required to immediately come up with cash in the sum of 10% of the value of the lawsuit in order to defend himself. His property is worth $100. Oh. So we'll make up some crazy excuse to sue him for $100. Oh. He won't be able to come up with the $10. Oh. So we'll win by default. And we'll force the sale of his property. Then you get 20%. So the lawyer sues on contingency. In other words, the wealthy person doesn't have to pay anything to do this. In order to improve the odds, I convince a judge to include non-standard language in the official notification of the lawsuit. If the guy doesn't reply within 10 days, he loses by default. Then we throw the paperwork in the dirt in front of the house and hope no one finds it before it's too late. I was the poor guy. The legal document sat in the mud in front of our house for a week before anyone saw it. I managed to come up with the $10. And file a response the day before the 10-day deadline. The lawsuit took more than 2 years to complete. I won, but it still cost me $25. To defend myself. And the evil guy? It was a 70-yo grandma type friend that we had trusted and considered to be a part of our family. Start a pharmaceutical company. Develop a drug that people need to live. Raise the price just because you know they'll pay for it if they don't want to die. Start a pharmaceutical company and buy the sole producer of a cheap but rare drug. Then jack the prices up 4,000%. Smoke in the same house that your children live in, forcing them to inhale toxic chemicals that damage their bodies. Bully someone. Mentally abuse someone, making them feel bad about themselves their whole life. I hate bullies. I didn't get bullied, but I was an odd one going through school. PC geek but also rugby captain. I'd regularly have to confront people bullying my geeky friends.